So hit it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in to This is the Place Sports, the podcast. I'm Austin Facer. I'm here with my dad, Dirk Facer. We're the co-founders of This is the Place Sports. We're excited to be with you. We're really excited about our guest today. We've got some great guys from both sides of the aisle of the Utah-BYU rivalry. Representing the Utes and the Cougars is the host of Locked on Utes and Locked on Cougars and the producer at 1280 The Zone, Jake Hatch. Jake, how are you?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Good to have you here. And our other guest is Rojo, Robert Johnson, the former safety at the University of Utah, played for the Tennessee Titans. Great player and even a better person. Rojo, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm
All
blessed
right.
to be here with y'all.
Well, you know, you've experienced a lot in your football career, and without getting into too much detail, I know that the Ty Jordan thing hit home for you, and you had an experience in high school losing a teammate, didn't you?
Yes. I mean, it was not any gang violence, which was an unusual situation when it comes to my neighborhood, but it happened during our first day of shoulder pads. Well, at this time, back in 2005, they had a grace period, I guess you can say, where you have to wear helmets, you know, and the first couple of days you wear helmets, then you wear the soft pads, then you throw on the full shoulder pads. And we had a hidden drill, and I just remember the first day we was like, okay, let's just throw on the shoulder pads and try to, like, you know, knock out some of the rust, because we was all coming from different sports, you know, like as in basketball or track. And I just remember us lining up for the Oklahoma drill, and we had Ruben. He was one of our guys that had the first hit. Like, it was like the first Oklahoma drill. And he took the first hit, and it was okay. You know, we lined him up again because he played linebacker. And, you know, took the second hit, and then we moved on to the next drill, and he wound up taking a knee, you know, and it was like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And, you know, we didn't really think anything of it. It was just like a natural reaction of your first day of shoulder pads, we felt. And then I remember we was on another drill, and then Ruben just kind of like laid out, and it was really hot. You know, it was like maybe he's overheating. And, you know, we were scared, thinking he was overheated. You know, the ambulance came and took him off the field. And then the next day we got the word that was just like, Ruben passed away. It was just like, wait, what? Like, how? Like, he was literally just here. Like, you know, like it was shocking for us because it happened right on the field, and we didn't think anything of it. And we just thought it was like overheating. You know, it's just crazy how something like that happens. And, you know, as we start saying to yourself that life is very, very short, and something like that happens where you see it so commonly of somebody making a hit, getting tired. We in the summertime, you know, you never think that somebody is going to just like die, you know?
I'm sorry you guys went through that. That's just a very traumatic experience. Let's transition into Ty Jordan, since you kind of experienced that in high school. What do you think the Utes are going through right now with his sudden passing?
I mean, everybody just hurt from it. Even the fans, me included, as a alum. And even on top of that, I seen Coach Sataki send something to the University of Utah, where, you know, for me, this is why I love Coach Sataki so much, because, you know, football is football. Don't get me wrong, rivalry is rivalry, but, you know, this is bigger than football. This is bigger than a rivalry. This is a young man's life that was taken too early, from what we feel. And, you know, it's kind of hard to describe exactly what the coaches and staff is going through, but I know us as players, it's tough. It's tough. It's mental. It's mental. And, you know, just think about everything that has happened and everything that's transpired. And, like, on top of that, with the COVID situation, it's just kind of crazy that Utah would probably been in a bowl game around this time. You know, and it's just a lot of questions, and it's a lot of feelings and a lot of what ifs, you know, and that is the toughest, is the what ifs, you know.
It is. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Well, it was about as stunning a revelation as I've heard in recent memory, because you guys know me. I work on our morning drive show with DJ and PK, and to see the new start coming up on a Saturday morning shortly after I woke up, it was just one of those things you're like, hold on. the sad part is the first thought you have is this real? And you had to wait until some more people started talking about it and reports came out. And it's just one of those things that strikes you, and you never want to cover that in sports. And Dirk, you've had a long career. Austin, you've had a career in this. Rojo, I know that you talk about your teammate in high school. You don't want stuff like this to happen. And to have a kid like that just days after he was named Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, had that absolutely stellar run in those 5 games, and to have his life cut short like that, just an awful, awful situation.
Rojo, can the Utes, you mentioned practice, and I imagine that first spring practice is going to be really tough for the guys. How do they respond to this? Do you think it'll galvanize the team, or do you think they're going to be hurting for a while?
With that type of impact that he brought in, not just the University of Utah, but among the state of Utah, and then you think about the Pac-12, I think it's going to affect a lot of not just the players, but a lot of the universities as well. It hit differently when there's any football player that passes away from anything that has happened. But the impact that he has brought into the University of Utah, as well as the state and the recognition that he had, as in he was getting all these awards, the freshman All-American, and it's things like this that will make people question, wait, what happened? So I don't think that first practice will be easy, and I don't think the season in general will be easy. And you think about that running back room, like the offensive coordinator. Like Coach Ludwig. When you run an offense that's through a running back system, and all of a sudden the upcoming star running back is not there, you got to make some adjustments. It's just tough.
Right.
Yeah, I think both of you guys mentioned this. The one thing that I really, I guess, was I'm trying to think of the right word, but the one thing that was kind of inspiring to see was just the response that came from the BYU fans and the BYU community. Jake, what was the reaction out of BYU?
I think it was just an outpouring of people just realizing, hey, you know what? This is bigger than football. This is a young man who lost his life tragically, and there was just an outpouring of people just saying, you know what, we're all in this together. We're all human beings. We all kind of understand what's going on. And I think that the nice part is this transcended the rivalry. You saw it from, Kalani Sitake, as Rojo talked about. The University of Utah received a care package from BYU. So I think that the outpouring has shown that, you know what, this rivalry, it exists in all facets of life in this state. But the nice part is that there are things that transcend it.
Yeah, definitely. That horn means we're going to change topics here, but kind of in the same vein. We're talking about BYU, and BYU had their great season, especially led by quarterback Zach Wilson, who has seen kind of a meteoric rise up the NFL draft boards. Jake, what's the reaction that you have to this, and is it plausible that Zach could go second overall?
If you look at those mock drafts, he's anywhere inside that top 5, it looks like. I think the big debate right now is if he is quarterback 2 or 3 in the draft pool. It seems like Trevor Lawrence is kind of the consensus number 1 guy, and then it's Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, pending which NFL draft analyst you like to subscribe to and pay attention to. So it's been an absolutely crazy ride. Watching BYU do what they did was absolutely stunning in many ways to watch what happened for them. And I've just watching what Zach Wilson did this season as compared to what the expectations were coming into the year. I would have never guessed that at Labor Day night when BYU took on Navy, that come the new year, we were looking at Zach Wilson as a top 5 NFL draft pick.
Rojo, you went through the draft process. What's Zach Wilson going through right now? And obviously, being touted as possibly the number 2 pick is pretty big shoes to fill.
I don't know. I can't really speak for a BYU player, but
well, anybody going through tell us what it's like, because not many people get drafted, and what's the process like between now and draft day? I bet it doesn't come around fast enough, does it?
It's a game of what type of agent do you have that can keep your mind focused. I was blessed enough to have an agent my first year. I fired him my second year, but my first year I was able to have a group of people that I trusted around me with my agent. I had Stevenson Sylvester, I had Sly. Me and him both had the same exact agent. And on top of that, Koa Misi, his agent had us all three of us training at the same location in California. So it made that perspective change a little bit because we all know what we was working for and we all pushed each other to a different level.
To me, I think like the cool thing about the draft would just kind of be the uncertainty of not knowing where in the country you're going to go. What was on your mind when you're thinking that? You ended up in Tennessee. I'm sure there are worse places to be, but was that kind of weighing on your mind when you were going through this?
Honestly, I didn't think I was going to be drafted at all. I didn't. It was I went on these visits, and I'm going to try to make this story quick. I went on some visits to go see some teams. The first team I went to go see was Chicago Bears. And I legit thought that I was going to be a Chicago Bear. I thought I was because they came to the university to see me. They flew me up. They came to LA to watch me train. They sent me a couple of Chicago Bears hats and things. And I'm like, I'm about to be a Bear. Like, no matter what, like this is happening. And then I went on a visit to the Houston Texans. The reason I went to the Houston Texans visit is because Bryce McCain was there, and Coach Kubiak. It was a crazy world. Coach Kubiak, his son played safety at Colorado State. His son vouched for me my senior year when I got 3 interceptions against Colorado State. Crazy world like that. That happened. And then I went on a visit to the Miami Dolphins, and Sean Smith, Paul Solia, all of them was there. So I wanted to be in Miami because I knew that I can catch the defense. I can catch onto the defense faster, knowing that I have my Utes there. And it was like, I know that I can do that. And then I went on a visit to the Seattle Seahawks, and I just remember Pete Carroll. I wasn't a fan of Pete Carroll. I just wasn't. Like a
little too high strung.
No, I just flashed back all the way to high school when he told me I wasn't big enough to play at USC.
Yeah. Okay.
So it runs way deeper with me and him, and it was like, yeah, I don't want to be there. See, but you never know. You never know. You never know what can happen. But what I like to tell the players now is that you only need one team to like you. That's all you need. Sorry, my kids. All you need is one kid to like. You only need one team to like you. And the team that liked me was the Tennessee Titans. The defensive coordinator, he knew my trainer at my junior college. They're best friends. And it just happened to be that I was still on the draft board. They was watching Sean Smith a year before, and everything just kind of worked out. So you never know. It's a who knows who that can get you where you need to be. Like
that's good fortune. Yeah, I think
coach's son, I guess, in your case.
Yeah, right. A coach's son that voucher for me. When we going for the same crazy, we going for the number 1 Mount West player that selection, and he says, "Yeah, Rojo did destroy us." I'm like, thank you.
Well, you could have talked to UCLA, Alabama. You destroyed a few teams, Rojo. You did all right.
I enjoyed it. I had fun.
So I want to point something out to those of you who are listening to this podcast on audio. Our friend Jake Hatch here has an incredible sign behind his head. It's actually the locker nameplate for former Jazz big man, a very memorable big man, Krilo Fisenko.
Yep.
And so it's hysterical. If you got to see it on YouTube to see this. It's crazy that Jake has this. And it makes me just think, the Jazz, what's kind of going on this season. They're off to a pretty decent start. They're playing the Brooklyn Nets right now as we speak without Kevin Durant. But, the big story this year is, playing without fans for the most part. There's only like 1,500 fans going to the home Jazz games. A lot of teams are playing without fans. So, I mean, what kind of effect do you guys think that could possibly have on sports this year, playing without fans?
I mean,
go ahead, Dirk. Well, so my thought was on it, and I've heard from multiple Jazz players that even having the 1,500 fans there at Vivint Arena, they say it's something they really enjoy. They understand that it's going to be a smaller crowd if there is any fans in the stands, but they want fans there. I think they realized from the Orlando bubble experiences they went through that, it's a different type of format to play without fans, but any fans that they can have in the stands, I think they're all for it. I think it's going across all sports. We're seeing different NFL teams have different amounts of fans, and by and large, I think NFL players are going to be like the NBA players in the Utah Jazz, saying if you can get fans at any capacity into the stands, they're all for it.
Rojo, as an athlete, did fans raise the adrenaline levels and such? I mean, how big of a deal is it to play in front of fans and, playing in packed Rice-Eccles Stadium, for example?
Well, it's a big difference. I mean, I think we all can agree that we all have popped up at practice and see what practice is like. And if you the way practice is exactly how the games are kind of set up now, and it's super strange. And like I mean, I think back to my TCU game, like when we played against TCU and we had the first blackout. Like I'm that the mighty Utah student section, the must, like that third down jump, it is very important for us on defense to have that. So to not have that, it's like, like our false starts and things like that, you just can't, you just can't like, if it's a practice situation, you can't put that into perspective. You just can't. So having fans is very important.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, Robert, was my favorite memory as like a teenager going to Utah football games was the 2007 game against UCLA. I know you know it well. I think you won a couple of National Player of the Year or Player of the Week awards for that game. My favorite moment, though, was when you had that forced fumble on the 2-yard line right by the south end zone. And I was lucky enough to be sitting in the south end zone. And I can tell you that was the loudest explosion of noise I had ever heard in my life right there. What do you remember that play? What do you remember about it? And is it one of those lasting memories you have?
Oh, I remember it very well. I just remember that was my first week starting. That was my first week really playing with my other group of guys, like having Sean Smith and Bryce McCain. I was still learning Sean very well. I was still learning. He plays like aggressive. He's played ball hawking corner, and I just remember that play. Like I was always taught to play to the end of the whistle, not the beginning, not the start, play to the end. So I was always taught that at junior college, and always taught to get my number in the film, no matter what. Run to the ball. You never know what happens. And I was literally just running to the ball. Like I did not think anything of it other than get my number in the film and run to the ball. And it just happened to be that I'm gonna dive out there, try to, just dive. He dove, I dove. When I hit him, I still didn't know where the ball went. I know he didn't have it. I just didn't know where it went. And when I was looking at the replay, I was like, on our small TV screen that we had at that time, I'm looking up there and I'm like, oh, the ball rolled to the back. Like that's touchback. And they said, yeah. And the student section that was right there, they was cheering like, yeah, it did. It rolled. I'm like, yeah, it rolled. So I was literally playing to the
Utah game. So
I was playing to the end of the whistle. That's all.
Jake, let's jump back to BYU for our final segment here. The way the college football playoff structured in that, do they ever have a chance of getting in as an independent, even if they're undefeated?
To be frank, in a word, no. I honestly don't think so. It's unfortunate because a season like they come up a yard short from having a perfect season against Coastal Carolina. And who knows, if they would have won that game, who knows how conversation changes for BYU. But my honest assessment, Dirk, is, I don't think currently as the college football playoff is set up, they don't have a chance of getting in my opinion.
Robert, do you like the college football playoff the way it's set up with 4 teams? It seems weird that there's 5 Power 5 conferences and 4 slots for the playoff. Is that flawed to begin with?
I mean, I feel like no matter what, it's going to always be a team left out. No matter what, like no matter how many systems we put together, I think it's going to always be a team left out. That's even if you go to the Division II setup of the playoff. I think they got 8 teams, I think, or do they have 16? The way that the FC
they've currently got 24. Actually, they've gone to 24.
Really, the FCS playoffs, like So to me, that is a good way of going about it, but it's not It's players that's in a high caliber position where they like, hey, I'm not going to play this game. Like I don't want to mess up my draft stock. See, so it's never going to be a right situation. I mean, it's just crazy how this pandemic changed up a lot of people's schedules, the strength of the schedule, the opponents, having a full roster. That's something that's big. Having your starting quarterback is something that's big. It's crazy how this all happened. And even with the NFL, you look at the NFL, it's been some craziness happening with the NFL. I mean, it was so crazy one time that I literally thought like Tyler Huntley was going to start. He was going to play for sure in a Ravens game when Lamar Jackson had COVID or something. I'm like, he's going to play. But, you think about that in the college perspective, it's never going to be a right way of doing it because it's too many teams and it's too many it's too much of the Power Five and this team should have played this team, and it's just too much. It's too much.
So the championship between Alabama and Ohio State is set, right? Robert, you were on that 08 Sugar Bowl team that upset Alabama. What advice would you give to those Ohio State kids that are going to face a Nick Saban-led team? You know, what's the secret to beating Nick Saban coming from a guy who's done it?
I don't even think that it's really like a secret. I think it's more of you got to just like figure out. You got to just like figure out what's the best way to go about it, because I think Nick Saban right now, I think he done changed up his whole defensive scheme now. Like like you come up with the no huddle, you could definitely like get advantage over the no huddle. But I heard he's running cover 7, which is like it's a special defense that's like for special players that has been in the system. So that cover 7, it could be killed. It could be if you run a no huddle. But I think he done figured it all out.
It seemed like from what I remember in that game that you played in, that was really the kind of the secret to the big jump you guys got on was, you know, Brian was running the no huddle, and, you know, that 21-0 lead came really fast. So
yeah, and then on defense, we just
by the end of the game.
On defense, we just attacked them. Like Coach Anderson, like he said it straight up. Like that whole week, he said, "Look, we're going to figure out a way to attack them and try to see if they can stop the speed," because he already knew that we was faster than them. And then Andre Smith, I think, the All-American left tackle or right tackle.
Left tackle.
He was talking to an agent or something, and he got suspended. And I just remember the night before the game, Coach A said, "Look, we're changing up the whole playbook. We're going to just blitz that side and see what happens." So all of a sudden, we started sending slide to that side, and they couldn't stop him. And then we started making sure Paul Cougar was like standing up sometimes, blitzing that side, and it was like crazy how everything kind of fell right into place. And then that same replacement tackle get hurt, and then they had to like bump their All-American center to the left tackle, and they like did all this little changing things, and we already knew that speed can kill anybody. We already felt that way. None of us fit the position we was in. None of us.
Rojo, I can tell you this much. I come from a long line of Cougar fans, dyed-in-the-wool blue Cougar fans. I remember the exact where we were watching that game, because my dad and my brothers, who were dyed-in-the-wool BYU fans, will never not talk about that game and how impressive it was that Utah went and did what they did. They were stunned that you guys did what you did that night.
We knew that we was playing for the state, though. We already knew it, because when they pull up the state of like who's going to win, like who voted for like our state was the only state that voted for us. It was like nobody else.
Sports Nation Bowl, yeah.
For once we were right and everybody else was wrong.
Yeah. And I just remember like right before the game, Coach Witt tried to make us motivated by, look, it's only the state that loves y'all, so you got to go out there and do that. And we was like, yeah, whatever, you know. And then when we run out of the side of the Superdome, and we see Alabama run through the middle, and they get extra fireworks, that changed up the whole perspective. It was like, wait, we supposed to be the home team. Like, how is this happening?
Yeah. Game on. Hey, guys, appreciate having you on. How about a parting shot from each of you before we say goodbye? Jake, you got anything?
Go ahead, Rojo.
Well, I mean, for me, thank you again, you know, for bringing us together. I mean, like, thank you. I definitely appreciate y'all, and you know, I would love to continue to help out wherever we can with this craziness and this new podcast.
So we should point out that Rojo and Sly are working on their own podcast in development right now. They're going to be coming up with a name and recording it all. Robert was kind enough to show us the cool new microphone he got just for the podcasting. So we're excited to do that. And, you know, we encourage people to look for that and listen when that drops.
And check out our website, because we'll put the information on. If Rojo and Sly will share it with us, well, you can listen to their podcast. And speaking of Mr. Podcast, Jake, you are Mr. Podcast in the statement. What's your parting shot today?
Well, so my parting shot is actually, I want to thank you guys for having me on this. You guys have a new venture you've launched here with This Is the Place, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do. Dirk, I have been a longtime reader of yours since the time I was knee-high to a grasshopper, to use that expression.
I mean, I'm old, yeah.
Sure. I don't mean to make you feel like that, but it has been a pleasure to be on with you guys. And I'm going to be, I do plenty of podcasting in my own right. I'm looking forward to supporting your guys' work. I'll be sure to tweet out links, etc. But yeah, thanks for starting this up, guys. I'm excited to see it grow, and anything I can do to help you guys out, feel free to give me a call anytime.
We'd love to have
Appreciate
you guys back, and thanks again for joining us. Austin, you got a parting shot?
Yeah, just those of you, if you're listening to this now, you know where you found it, but you can also listen to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, other places. We're going to put it up on YouTube as well. And check out some more of our content on thisistheplaysports.com. We got a nice column from Brad Rock, which we're excited about. So, yeah, just tune in, those of you who are listening to this. So.
And my parting shot is I just want to express my thoughts and prayers go out to the University of Utah community for the loss of Ty Jordan. It's like you guys said earlier, it's just unimaginable what happened. And I know they're hurting up there, and I just want everyone there to know that I think I speak on behalf of everybody that our thoughts and prayers are with them. And we hope they get through this tough time. But thanks again for listening. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, I think it's about to cut us off. We're almost at the 40-minute mark. So
you guys are
thanks
awesome.
a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you so
if
much.
we can help you with anything, please let us pay you back somehow. So
yeah, big help. Thanks, guys.
we don't have any money, but we'll pay you back somehow.
All right, my friends. Talk to you soon.
Take
Good
care.
to hear
Watch out.
from you.
Again.
Let me know if you need anything too, Jacob. I'll definitely be there.
We'll do. I'll email you. We'll exchange numbers. All right.
Cool.
Thanks
See
a
you
lot,
guys.
guys. Take care.
Uh-huh.